Afternoon, India. Good morning, Europe. Special thanks to Dr. Rahul Valavakar, President of India Energy Storage Alliance, who has made this webinar possible. Am I audible and you can see the presentation right now?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, first of all, also thanks to our co-chairs of the Subworking Group 2 under the Indo-German Energy Forum, Dr. Falkengrosser. She is the head of bilateral energy cooperation in the BMWI, which is the Ministry for Economic Affairs and Energy in Germany, and our co-chair, Sri Sinergy, Joint Secretary, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, Government of India. Both ministries requested us to dive deeper into this topic. And yes, let's just start right away. I'll speak a little bit about the global market development, about developments in chemistry and cost, the drivers for these kind of distributed home storage systems, new business models, and then we're coming for an outlook for India, and then I'm looking forward to a discussion and to the input of the professional speakers following me. So yes, just to first of all define what we understand as of what is a behind the meter system. We have the meter here in India, ideally maybe a bidirectional meter. We have the load, the consumer load, an AC in our house. Maybe we also have a solar system. Then we can use the PV to power the load or the consumer itself directly from the solar system, or we inject the excess PV generation into the grid. We can add certainly a battery to charge the battery with the excess PV generation and then use it as a backup for consumer load. Or we can also use this battery to actually interact with the grid and charge it. For example, if the tariffs are low, no time of use, in case implemented, or giving even electricity back to the grid. Definitely the battery can also be a car. So just for us to have the same understanding what is behind the meter. No? Yeah, so this is a graphic of IRENA. So the idea is that in the morning hours you purchase the electricity from the grid. Then this red line is the solar energy. So this would be when you, for example, charge the battery. You do on-site consumption from the solar itself, excess solar generation you might inject into the grid if the battery is charged, and then in the evening the battery is discharged, and ideally the battery discharging goes even into the morning hours. No, IRENA foresees 100% of behind-the-meter battery storage systems actually combined with solar rooftop in the future. I don't know if you're able to see my mouse, or do I have to give a specific setting?
We are able to see your mouse.
Okay, so IRENA is foreseeing for the year 2030 an increase in these kind of systems, and you see it's around half for utility scale batteries, and the other half is behind the meter combined with rooftop, even 9 to 10% here. Systems which are being later retrofitted, means which are not coming with a battery right away. No, here we are seeing the data from Bloomberg New Energy Finance, newest data of the total annual global energy storage deployments, utility scale and behind the meter. And again, here you see that historically it is around 40% behind the meter. That would be residential and commercial. So I see I get a request to transfer my webcam. Namaskar to everybody. And around 50 to 60% utility scale. No? Now webcam is working, wonderful. You see that the market in 2019 went down, at least in terms of commissioned projects. You might be aware of US market coming down a little bit, and then Korea having some fire issues. If you actually see the pipeline of upcoming projects, this is still high exponential growth, no? But yes, 2019, that is the data we got. In terms of megawatt hours, rule of thumb, as per present calculations, is around 2.x of the capacity, no? So if we are talking about 2.6 gigawatt of storage market, then it's around 5,000 megawatt hours deployed. IEA uses also data from Bloomberg New Energy Finance, but also from the China Energy Storage Alliance and from Clean Horizon. And they also distinguish between grid scale battery storage and behind the meter. But I think the message is clear, linear or over exponential growth. And the market size of the behind the meter battery storage is as big as the grid scale battery storage. Here in investment in billion US dollar. If we compare a little bit the data, IEA, Bloomberg, IRENA, we can see that Bloomberg is giving us already data from 2019. And if we see what is the percentage of the overall market, as we have just seen, the behind the meter only is around 41% of the total capacity and around 48% of the amount of electricity power. Yeah, how the behind the meter market can be segmented. Actually, it's a few leading countries so far: United States, UK, Korea, Japan, Germany, China, and Australia. And one can actually see that all countries picked up, except Korea was very high in 2018 in the behind the meter storage market, and it really shrank enormously due to these fire issues. You might just Google what happened, but as I just said, the pipeline is somewhere around here. So if these projects now get commissioned in 20 and 21, one can still say that we are talking about over exponential growth. Japan has almost doubled the capacity. Germany, one can see around 30% more than the year before. China has also doubled and starting the behind the meter market. Australia also picking up. Very interesting. California residential energy storage installations is new data from I think March 2020. You can see they're estimating for 2020 to actually add 50,000 new systems behind the meter, mainly due to the wish of being independent. So there's these bushfire shutdowns, no? People want that as a backup. Then there's generous subsidies from the state also. In the US, you have time of use tariffs even for residential customers. So yes, why not charging the battery when the tariffs are low and discharging it when the tariffs are high? It might make sense even without a solar system. But yes, there's these PV rooftop installers which are actually also eager to upsell. Means if you're getting a solar system installed, why not also installing a battery system? Japan behind the meter, as I said, that also picked up quite substantially, and interestingly, more than 90% is residential market. And one can see average system size is around 7 kilowatt hours, so that's already quite substantial. And we are talking about 686 megawatt hours in Japan. Germany, known, maybe this was also the reason why IESA, we decided to do this webinar. Yes, we wanted to show that German market is picking up quite interestingly. It's always said that KfW and other development banks are subsidizing, but as per the data of Bloomberg New Energy Finance, you see that this market segment is also working already unsubsidized. So 80% of the systems in Germany in 2019 working already without subsidies. And yes, constantly the price is driving down. So we are talking of around 1,100 euro per kilowatt hour installed. Italy, also an interesting market. This is old data from 2018, but still not exponential growth, but linear growth in terms of units and megawatt hours. What is the driver chemistry? This might be one of the most interesting slides of this whole presentation. It's actually a snapshot from a video which we have seen at Sonnen, and they have checked the cycles, how many cycles and how many remaining capacity. So charging, discharging, charging, discharging, and they have done this with different cell chemistries, with lithium NCA, with NMC for EVs, and also with the lithium iron phosphate. And what you can see, I think they're using mainly Sony cells, that this blue line here for the lithium iron, it's even after 6,000 cycles long-term testing for stationary storage without cobalt, without any thermal issues these LFPs have, it's still at around 88, 90% DOD. So very interesting to see that if we talk about, let's say, I call them boring batteries, because the only thing they have to do is they have to store the sun during the day and then give the power back in the night or in the morning. While these car batteries here, these NMCs, which are mainly used for cars, EVs, like from Tesla, I call them nervous batteries because they need to charge, discharge, charge, discharge, high power output, so they don't run in full cycles. So even if you do boring stuff with these batteries, you see after 4, 5, 6,000 cycles, they're at 50, 60%. I don't know which specific cell this is, but what you definitely can say is that probably for behind the meter, the cell chemistry for boring just one cycle a day or maybe two LFPs are a good choice. And yeah, this has been proven now by many manufacturers. So one can see that even lead acid based batteries are now being more and more replaced by LFP, lithium iron phosphate. The battery pack energy density is increasing, the life cycle is increasing, the production cost is decreasing. You see them more in energy storage, stationary storage, backup power, even in low-speed vehicle applications. So now buses, trucks, or you might have heard the news from last week, even Tesla now is considering to put them in the cars already because of being so safe, less thermal problems, more cycles, but yes, they are more boring. So if you would have a car which you actually accelerate and decelerate all the time, you might not want to go with LFP. But yes, Kettle now is promoting its 12,000 cycle life batteries, up to 20 years of stable system operation. I would say like 2-3 years ago, we would have not believed if this kind of data would have been published. Costs, yeah. I know some people will hate me now because these costs for the battery packs are, let's say, signals from the future, but the future is coming fast. I think, yeah, on 18th May, so that was last week, Kettle news came out that they're actually working together with Tesla and that they're able to produce cells at the cost of $60 per kilowatt hour below, and pack price $80. I mean, this is very special, and we are talking about gigawatt hours, not final customer. So this is the largest segment at all, but yes, and at the same time, increase in density and cycles, Please keep in mind that the material cost for LFP is actually a lot lower than for NMC batteries. And it went also significant lower over the years, as you can see here for the raw material cost. Lithium ion battery prices, that is the graph which most people of you know. Bloomberg New Energy Finance is publishing this every year. how do they derive to these decreasing costs for the battery pack? That is actually a mixture of LFP and NMC they're using. So LFP goes into this calculation with 22%, NMC goes in with 52%. But what this graph shows is that, yes, we are still talking about double-digit price reductions year by year. And we are talking about 90% reduction in cost per kilowatt hour in 11 years. And this is a marvelous development. Cell is not the pack. I'm always saying the pack is not the system. The software is not there, the inverter is not there, the installation is not there, the margin is not there, plus, no? Because we get confronted by our Indian friends saying like, oh, you must have these prices in Germany and US, but please, this is cell pack prices, mainly, let's say, for car manufacturers buying in bulk gigawatt hours and not the final customer. But still, the trend can be seen. No, cell cost is around 2/3 of the overall cost, and the assembly of the pack with the thermal management adds another 30%. That is what I was talking about, the battery pack prices segregated by sector. No? So we are talking about stationary storage. So what you can see, if you're a bus manufacturer in China, you get the cheaper prices. If you're a passenger vehicle manufacturer, you get the cheaper prices per kilowatt hour. But if we talk about stationary storage, or if we talk about other forms or smaller packs and total amounts for the car industry, plug-in hybrids, no? We are not talking about Tesla Model S with 100 kilowatt hours, no? So there the prices are actually twice as high as for the other segments. I think this is a very interesting graph also for all of you, because it shows that behind the meter systems itself definitely derive their costs from installation and hardware and inverter also, as I said. So this includes then software. And there you can see that, yes, the cell and the pack price might be already close to 150 or dollars per kilowatt hour. But for the behind the meter storage segment, we are talking more of levelized cost of around $280, and then adding the cost for the inverter and for the hardware and for the installation. But what can be seen as per the trend here outlaid by Bloomberg New Energy Finance is that they are thinking that the costs will be halved within the next 10 years again. So that's quite interesting. And especially if you see that maybe the advancements in lithium iron phosphate batteries are driving this blue part even faster down, then this is definitely very interesting. So the mean price is around $800 per kilowatt hour, average price for residential storage systems. No, so we can say, okay, let's buy a system where we speak about only $500 per kilowatt hour, but it can definitely also go up for a high quality system to $1,500 per kilowatt hour. So there's a wide range of costs involved, and definitely we are talking about cycles, we are talking about different chemistries. Imagine, for example, with the price here, no, we are talking about this pack and cell price in 2019 now. That would be more like for the car manufacturers. But this is the price for the given amount of cycles. Now imagine you just double the cycles, like Cattle is doing now. No, so you jump from 6,000 to 12,000 cycles. And the price per kilowatt hour is still the same, but you can use it 10 more years. So maybe in India that is not that relevant because of the high financing cost. So that after year 10 it just doesn't matter because of the high interest rate. But in countries like Germany, having an asset for another 10 years with almost non-existent interest rates, that definitely is of high value. No? The same with the density. When you get a higher density, you can put in more batteries. So it's not only the price. So it's the density, it's the cycles, and especially in behind the meter, I would say the cycles are of very much interest, no? Because it's a boring battery, as we just learned, and by having maybe 1 to 2 cycles per day, it really does matter if we can run the battery maybe even 30 years. No? So this is 2018 data. I can say that this is permanently going down. So Bloomberg says for the UK, it actually doesn't make too much sense. Payback period for PV and storage is more than 20 years. In Germany, it's already close to 10 years, and in Italy, around 6 to 7 years. From my own experience of friends, but maybe they're also a little bit like optimistic. They're talking about below 8 years already for their new systems installed. No? So what are the drivers? Some of the drivers I already mentioned. No, the cost is definitely coming down. The system cost, the performance is coming up. So yes, at the end, it's electricity bill savings. No, but how do we derive there? Well, in many countries, like in Germany, the feed-in tariff is going down. But please don't misunderstand me. These are not retroactive downgradings of feed-in tariffs. Once you have installed the system, you get the feed-in tariff for 20 years. But for the new systems, no? So for the new system in Germany, I'd say the feed-in tariff now would be maybe for residential system, maybe 9 rupees you get. But you pay to the discom, you pay above 20 rupees. So what you do is you don't want to actually inject this electricity, no? You want to use it, because the more you use it, the less you pay these 20 rupees to the discom. And then it might make sense to combine your PV system with the battery. No? And another driver is time of use tariffs. I know we have the time of day tariff for commercial and industrial, I think, in India, no? But imagine also residential customers being offered the time of use. So, okay, during the day when the sun is shining in India, we get the power from solar for 2.44 rupee, like best case, no? Let's put it in the battery. And the peak is at night or in the evening at 7 when the ACs are being turned on, and then again at 22:30. Why do we add 7 gigawatt plus net per year in coal-fired power plants? Why don't we put some batteries together, no? But we'll get to this. So feed-in is down not only in Germany, but this is an example of UK, no? So these discoms, they're saying, no, solar is getting cheap enough. You do get along by yourself, and feed-in tariffs are going down. No? Third driver still are subsidies, but I have to tell that this is decreasing. No, as I showed you the graphic from Germany. So actually, the KfW credits, what was it of the total amount of systems? It was around like 20%, I said. So these subsidies are decreasing. No, in Germany, KfW subsidy was important. But yes, it's phased out since 2019. There's no more grants for such systems. But yes, government of Germany still offers loans for storage. So you can easily get a storage system of around $5,000 to $10,000, no, for let's say 9 kilowatt hour system. And yes, some states, they still have specific subsidies, and also US and so on. As I said, no, California, bushfires. So they actually want you to also invest in your own grid infrastructure, so you get the subsidies. But in total, one can say that it is a big driver worldwide still for behind the meter systems, but this driver is becoming less important in the future. And yes, independence. I mean, In India, it would be more like having this backup issue, no? As many install their diesel gensets or inverter systems. But in Germany, it's also some sort of like independence, no? So it's like, yeah, so it's like to which, if we meet with our friends, people are just like getting out their smartphones and their app, no, and saying, okay, at how, what is your percentage of self-consumption, no? And everybody below 60% is uncool, and everybody above 60% annual self-consumption is cool, no? That's the way it is right now. And yeah, stable power prices for approximately 20 years, no? Once you have invested, and we don't have typhoons, luckily, so you would need to invest a little bit more in a stable mounting system for your solar system, no? But in Germany, actually, even we don't have that much O&M, no? Because of the rain, the solar panels are always clean. We have to defungus them each 5 years. That's all. But we hardly clean them, no, if at all, no. So yes, this is a big driver. IRENA is listing out more drivers because they're saying, hey, it's not only the drivers and the benefits for the customer who's putting the storage, there's also benefits for the discom or for the system operator, or if it's integrated in the mini grid, no? So yes, one thing is the increased self-consumption, savings on the electricity bill we have touched, but yes, also demand charge reduction, no? So yeah, let's go in a lower electricity class, no? So in terms of max connection, no? So yeah, peak shaving, no? The battery is taking it away. Backup power, yeah. But yeah, the interesting part here is the network investment deferral that we are seeing also being talked a lot by BSES and Tata Power, for example, here in India. They're saying we just don't have like the distribution grid, no, the transformer capacity. So you just like people are adding ACs faster than we can actually put transformers. So by having these people putting their own decentralized behind the meter storage systems, that might actually help at least a little bit, no? Players, I don't want to dig too much into it, but yes, it has been mentioned by India Energy Storage Alliance in the invitee emailer that Sonnen is a world leader. Tesla, you might have heard, no? Powerwall. There's also Enphase, very much known worldwide. SMA is not only offering inverters, it makes sense for them to also add the battery. Same with Enphase, no, inverter company originally. Same with Fronius, Solar Edge. So yeah, I mean, like they're from this space, no. Vata, you're knowing. Senec, also German company. Yeah, so I would say there's many more, but it's not just the cell, no. So BYD, they produce maybe the cells, LG Chem, Samsung, but yes, it's the module design, it's the battery management system, it's all these things which make the difference. And I think I have some minutes left. Yeah, I will get into this quickly. So just an example here for the Sonnen system, no. They're using this lithium iron phosphate, no, so 10,000 cycles. They're giving warranty for full 10 years. That's a 15 kilowatt hour system, 3.3 kilowatt peak. And yes, we are talking about 8 lakh plus installation, no? So that's about the same like for a diesel genset you put in a 3-story building, no? But that's very expensive. We are talking about 3.3 kilowatt only, no? And is that already something which can replace a diesel genset? You can run 2 ACs on this, no, with max power for like 5 hours or 4 to 5 hours, but you cannot run 10 ACs on it, no. So if it's a 3-story building, but we are getting to it. We are getting to it. I would say we are close. There's also cheaper systems. That's just an example, no. We put the link here. That's a website where clients in Germany can just order. So they are selling a 9.6 kilowatt hour system for 3.7 lakh, and it's already with the battery management system, 6,000 cycles, okay, but also lithium iron, as you can see, and all the cables, whatever you need, tax already included, no, and shipping also included. So yes, but you would need the inverter and still the installation if you don't do it yourself. There's systems from India. I think Vision Mechatronics is a member, but definitely you have a lot more members, which I guess offer thousands of solutions here in India. You have the strategic partnership with our German Energy Storage Association. And I think India is ready for a lot of behind-the-meter storage systems. But yes, the question is, what are the drivers? GIZ is also experimenting with the 4.8 lithium-ion battery system, modular system with the solar panels all together. So the batteries are in the benches here that can be accessed here through this website. But yes, it all comes to the business models, no? Independence, okay. Backup, okay. Yeah, but like, where is the business case? So we already spoke about these kind of benefits. And for example, if we talk about Sonnen, they're not just offering you the battery, then you put the battery. No, you buy the battery, you become part of a worldwide community. No, so what they do is they aggregate these small scale assets, each like 3 to 10 kilowatt hours mainly. Yeah. So we have lots of households, and they manage this through an internet connection. And then they can offer backup ancillary services. They have a trading license at the IEX electricity exchange. So they're managing your battery. No, I don't know if we are still in time. I don't know, Devi, I'm already running out of time, or?
No, you can take another 5 minutes. That's fine.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know if it's possible to show a little bit the concept. Can you hear the sound?
Every single Sonnen battery can decide for itself by means of
Yes, we can hear.
whether it can participate in the network or whether the energy is needed in the household instead. As soon as enough Sonnen batteries are available to stabilize the grid, they arrange themselves into a block of 1 megawatt. This provides the electricity grid with a mass storage of thousands of individual batteries, which collectively and simultaneously absorb the energy.
I don't know if you could hear, no? So they bundle these small batteries to 1 megawatt blocks. No?
Surplus energy from the grid frequency drops back to its normal value, exactly 50.0.
And the company itself manages your battery, no? So you buy the battery, but then you also get a special electricity tariff, and they guarantee you that they don't break your battery. No?
All the tasks of a conventional power plant for the first time. They can produce and store electricity and even keep the power grid stable. Owners of a Sonnen battery jointly contribute to ensuring that nuclear and coal power plants can finally be phased out by clean and alternative energy sources. The Wagner family also benefits. Having their Sonnen battery available to support a stable electricity grid, they benefit from proceeds that were previously only available to conventional power plants. With the Sonnen flat, the family receives electricity they themselves cannot produce for free.
Yeah, so even in Germany now the tariffs are starting with can you still hear me? Yeah. So in Germany you start seeing these things like in India, no? You just pay a flat per month for the electricity and that's it. So Sonnen is managing your battery, no? They're saying, wow, now the electricity is cheap, no? Let's sell it at the stock exchange, sell. Oh, now the electricity, it's expensive, no, sell. Now it's cheap, let's buy. So they earn really money, no? Because we are talking about gigawatt hours and gigawatt capacity already. I think this I will show you. This website is actually publicly available, and each time I visit this, I'm amazed. You just click on Globe Sonnen and let me see if it is starting. Yeah, here, this is the website. So you just go on the website and it's loading some sort of like Google Maps, no? And then you can see all systems of Sonnen live in the world, no? So it shows you Germany first. All blue dots represent one system. You can also see how big these systems are. You can see they're adding systems in the UK, Spain, France now, Italy a lot. Then if we go to US market is picking up quite big. That's why Tesla wants to step into this business now, no? Then you see here even Puerto Rico, no? Wow, no? This whole island, they're just loving it, no? I think also Australia, basically the whole world, no? But yes, it's not that all are connected at one. Virtually yes, but you deal with different power markets, no? So all this participating at the electricity exchange and so on, you need a license for the country, no? Yeah, I wanted to show Australia, but now it's not working. India, you can also see some systems, 2-3 systems are here already. So there is some smart people already experimenting with it, no? And yes, Australia and New Zealand, you see, especially in the coastal regions, no? So yes, we are talking about no, this is not working. Yeah, we are talking about around 50,000 systems installed. No, 50,000 systems. Yeah, if each system costs around $10,000, so that's $500 million. Well, that's a big market. Huh? Definitely, there's other companies wanting to step in, and this is why Shell also bought Sonnen. No? So now you might have heard last week that Tesla now is applying for an electricity provider license in the UK. And yes, they already sell their software, AutoBidder 2.0, which is there to automatically bid for electricity at the electricity exchange and sell the power. They already have their bidirectional power vaults. They already have their pylons in Australia with more than 1,000 power vaults, and they're planning to add another 50,000 in the near future in Australia. And yes, upcoming vehicle generations might be ready for vehicle to grid also, no? So there's a big business, no? And yeah, what are the enablers? Very quick, there's an example here for Germany. So in Germany, we can actually choose which kind of electricity provider I want, no? So in Berlin, I can choose in between 110 electricity providers. I think in Berlin that's the average of Germany. I think in Berlin in the capital it's above 200. So I can choose between, let's say, 200 discoms at any point in Germany. Yeah? Because it's not the discom. The discom itself is in charge of the distribution grid. But the power, I'm deciding if I want green power, if I want coal power, if I want nuclear power, or if I just don't care, if I want cheap power, if I want expensive power, whatever I want, there will be someone selling it, no? So that's why we put these 3 dots, no? You can get the basic, which has the minimum requirement for renewable power as by the state, or you can choose a green tariff, 100%, or whatever, no? Then we have free choice of service provider for the meter. Usually the discom or the service provider is taking care of it, but yes, you can say, no, I want another company. No, so same discussions here in India now. If IESA is able to manage, for example, the meters, no, and make a special business case out of it. And yes, free choice of service provider for behind the meter assets. So the Sonnen company, yeah, they have access to my meter. They can decide when they push things out and in because they are selling to the IEX. No, in Germany it's not called IEX; it's a European Electricity Exchange. But yes, I just put that. No, but yes, the difference is that in Europe or in Germany, around 65% of all the physical electricity traded is traded at the electricity exchange. No, if you ask me, 1 kilowatt hour is actually being traded 4 or 5 times. So actually the electricity trading is 500% of all the electricity, no? Because people buy 5 years in advance and then they sell the day before or whatever, no? So each electricity gets like at the stock exchange, no? You buy shares of a company. Here you buy electricity. But still, so far, it was beneficial for the customers in Germany. And yeah, mainly that reduces to segregation of carriage, distribution network, and content electricity supply business. No? So the DISCOM, actually the classical DISCOM, is in charge of the grid infrastructure, and then all the services and whatever is being put on top. No? So yes, this goes up to that neighbors can actually trade electricity in between. In Germany, that's pilot phase, so the government is supporting certain schemes. But in Netherlands, it's actually since years, I think since 10 years now. There's a website you can visit at Van der Bron NL, and you can just sell your electricity. No, you just sell, okay, I want this electricity from this couple because I like their dog. You buy the electricity from them. Why not? Huh? So Netherlands also, Lombok's-net is a famous project, no, where PV plant users, they sell their electricity to the people which are wanting to charge their cars. So there's different kind of things, no. And then yes, this brings us to vehicle to grid, which has not picked up that much, but yes, that's also a battery and also behind the meter, and it's being done in Germany and Japan. You know, it's even mandatory to have bidirectional ability for the cars and for the charging stations. But yes, even in Germany, people are just buying this device. I think it's called SmartFox, and it's managing it for you. Yeah, so you can do it. No. Some people just go to the supermarket and charge the electricity for free and then bring it back home. But I would say that is not the regular use case. But the biggest fear always is that actually this whole vehicle to grid will make your battery suffer from the car, which is a higher valuable asset. No? And there we have like respected consultancies like the Mobility House in Germany, Mr. Markus Fenn, and they have done lots of tests, and actually they have found out that if the battery is charged at 50% level and you do plus minus 10% charging, so you have the span of 20% capacity of the battery, that it's hardly having any effect on the lifetime of the battery. So we are not talking about full cycles being taken away. No? And yes, with this, I would like to end, and I'm eager to hear more on what can be done in India. I'm always fascinated about actually the amount of diesel gensets you have in this country. No? I don't know, I don't know why this number is not very much often published, but we have bought a report, and it says 120 gigawatt. Can you believe that? It's hardly belief for me, no, but that is what the latest report shows, no. So with a 5 gigawatt annual growth, no, isn't that amazing? That's 1/3 of the whole capacity of the country, no. So let's put that into battery and solar panels, no. Especially if we talk about prices already, which in some states are actually interesting, no. For commercial, $15 per kilowatt hour. For residential homes in MP, it's also 11 already. Or in the city of Delhi, for industries, $13. Might be interesting already to talk about these kind of systems, no? Especially if you see your daily generation. So this is just solar generation profile of India, 365 days. If I show this to our friends in Europe, they say, what is this? That is hydro or what? They cannot believe it, that in India, somewhere the sun is always shining. So this is the generation profile of 365 days of solar generation in, I think, October 18 to October 19. Isn't that amazing? You want to see that for Germany? It looks like this. In Germany, Jan, Feb, almost, also very difficult. And then November, December, very difficult. And yes, then in the summer, we reach like 20% maybe of solar generation, no? But that is why in Germany or in Europe or in US, people are crying for storage, no? They're saying, oh yeah, but renewables, no, but we need long-term storage. India does not need long-term storage. India only needs to shift the sun towards the night and the morning. That's all. And it's totally different from what other countries in the world need. So actually, we believe that India can leapfrog and get to 100% renewables faster than Germany. So Germany might be at around 50% right now. But now the difficult part comes because we have to surpass months, no? Even with the wind compensating. But India doesn't have this issue, no? So once the price goes down, actually, congratulations, no? And this is what personally fascinates me so much about working in India. And rooftop market is picking up. This is not accumulated data. This is yearly installations in India as per Bridge to India data. So we are talking about 1.8 gigawatt added solar rooftop only, not power plant, no? Yeah, why not having something like that? No, beautiful glass, maybe a simple wood structure. Doesn't seem to be jugaad. No, it's nice. It's like that can be my terrace. I just put some plants on there. The sunlight goes through. I can even put plants. I don't know why they don't put here the plants. I would put some plants. And yeah, glass modules are becoming cheaper and cheaper. If you paint the ground white, you can even use the albedo effect and then generate more electricity. So yes, that's my vision for India, and this is why we are working here, and that's why we are so excited. Thank you very much. Maybe some literature, batteries. Our colleagues, they always ask me, Tobias, you and your batteries. I really liked this video about the 2,000-year-old Baghdad battery used. No, maybe not for home storage, maybe for electroplating or something. But isn't it amazing? For 2,000 years ago, people already knowing what a battery is. No, amazing. But yes, if you want to dig a little bit deeper, what's really interesting, and actually this is maybe not so easy to access if you don't know, but we put a link here. This is actually paid content, but you can save thousands of dollars if you just click on this link. You can see the last PNF talk on battery cost development. So I think this is very valuable for you. Then last Elsevier energy storage, all the papers for free during Corona times that has been published in April might be very much of interest. And yes, maybe to just dig into the topic from IRENA publication on behind the meter batteries. And with this, I will really stop now. Thank you very much, David G.
Thank you, Tobias. It is a nice presentation covering most of the global countries and focused on Europe, USA, and also touching about the price point, which is the first discussion when you happen in India to any of the companies. The discussion ends at cost. So I will not take much time. I will invite Dr. Rahul to give a brief projections and plans, and also how Indian market is compared to global market and where is the opportunity. So Dr. Rahul, I will make you the presenter. Then we will go to Mr. Gautam Mohenkat to understand the Indian company's experience in this space. Dr. Rahul, I will make you the presenter.
Sure. Thank you, David.
And in the meantime, just an announcement, if anyone want to discuss any questions, we will have dedicated 15 to 20 minutes at the end. Please type your questions in the chat window. Yes. Rahul, I made you the presenter.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Devi, and thank you very much, Tobias, for a really detailed and exciting presentation. I think we're going to see some reinforcement of the statistics and data what Tobias shared in his presentation. There may be some slight nuances which I'll try to highlight while going through the presentation, but for all the listeners who are there.
There is some noise. Can you just reconnect? There is some sparkling noise.
Okay, is it better now? Is it better now?
No, it's coming, but you can go ahead.
Just a minute. Let me try connecting it.
Yes, you can use a earphone or something.
Yeah. Is it better now?
Oh, it is same, but it's okay.
It's okay. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so for listeners who don't know me, I'm Dr. Rahul Walawalkar. I'm founder and president of India Energy Storage Alliance, and also president and managing director for Customized Energy Solutions India. Devi already introduced India Energy Storage Alliance. I'll just use one slide to introduce Customized Energy Solutions. CAS is a company, global company headquartered in US in Philadelphia, started in 1998. And we are a company which works across the electricity sector, and number of actually examples what Tobias gave in his presentation are things which we do day in, day out. So currently we manage close to 10 gigawatt of assets, including large scale renewable assets, as well as a number of behind the meter assets, particularly in the North American market. And we also manage more than 250 megawatt of energy storage assets and optimize them. But we also work with various competitive retail suppliers and try to help the competitive suppliers in managing risk related to supplying power to the individual customers. So we also work on the residential sector. And we started our India operations 10 years back. We are actually celebrating 10 years this month, where we started in end of April 2010 in India with headquarters in Pune, and now we have 2 or 3 smaller offices in Mumbai, Delhi, Chennai, and Bangalore, where some of the team members are working from there. So to set the context, in the Indian grid, traditionally Indian grid has been dominated by thermal sector, mainly coal power plants. But if you see over the last few years, one of the fastest growing segment has been renewables. Initial few years with wind, but then particularly in last 5 years, solar has dominated the growth of energy generation. So already in terms of the installed capacity, we are seeing renewables accounting for close to 23%, and this number is expected to continue to grow with the ambitious 175 gigawatt target which Prime Minister Modi ji has set for India. And this is not going to stop on 2022. In fact, there are projections to grow the renewable capacity to anywhere from 350 to 400 gigawatt by 2030. So this trend is going to continue for years to come. So one of the challenges for the grid operator, and the left-hand side chart is in the right side is a chart done by California Independent System Operator, which shows that as more and more solar is getting added, both in terms of the grid connected as well as rooftop solar, ultimately for the system operators, the net load which they are seeing can have a significant difference. And the left side bottom chart was something which was created by POSOCO. Solar mission had set target of only 20 gigawatt of solar by 2022, and we have already surpassed that 2 years back. But that time that showed that one of the biggest issue is going to be the evening ramp up, especially during the 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Area, where there is going to be a steep challenge for system operator. But now, sort of going forward, since we are expecting close to 100 gigawatt solar installed, or maybe slightly less, since rooftop solar penetration has started increasing slower than what was expected. So we expect around maybe 80-85 gigawatt of solar to be installed by 2022. And in such case, the right-hand side chart represents the kind of net load shape which the system operators can see. And one of the biggest challenge here is that the ramp rate requirement is not only during like the 2 or 3 hours in the evening, but it is going to be much sustained ramp rate requirement. And this is an area where, rather than going back to all the thermal plants and trying to improve flexibility of all the plants, by adding storage, it can provide significant flexibility options to the grid, because you can use the same storage unit by charging and again discharging, again charging. So you can use the same capacity of installed storage multiple times during the day and try to meet the flexibility requirement for the grid. So there are a number of opportunities for storage, right from managing the grid variability, providing ancillary services such as frequency regulation or grid inertia, the renewable energy curtailment is rising with higher penetration of renewables. In Indian context, there are regulatory mechanisms such as deviation settlement mechanisms are introduced, where not just for generators but also for particularly distribution companies, they need to start managing these deviation settlements between load and the generation which they are procuring for serving the load. And then there are other aspects, such as India is also expected to have a rapid growth of electric vehicles. So all these areas require a growing need for energy storage. And there is a lot of work which has happened in last 7 years on the policy side, where there have been discussions about introduction of ancillary service markets where energy storage can play a key role. There is already a specific staff paper issued by Central Electricity Regulatory Commission in 2017 about energy storage. And last but not the least, Prime himself has announced creation of a National Energy Storage Mission, which is also getting combined with the National Mission for Transformative Mobility. And this is creating a huge opportunity for growth of energy storage sector in India. Now, coming to the technologies, and Tobias also touched based on this. When it comes to sort of the residential energy storage, mainly we are talking about lead acid batteries and lithium-ion batteries, but these are not the only two technologies. There are other technologies like even flow batteries which are being considered. There are a number of places such as Australia, New Zealand, or even in Africa, where some of the newer flow battery technologies are being seen for individual houses, particularly if you are looking for storage duration of more than maybe 6 hours or 8 hours, then these flow battery systems can also be found useful. But primarily in the Indian context, lead acid has been the king. The technologies have been around, and customers are very familiar. There are very robust supply chain networks built around that. And lithium-ion is one of the fastest growing segment for a number of reasons, which Tobias has mentioned already. Now, Tobias also talked about it. So this is a trend which has happened where the prices at the cell level have been coming down very rapidly. And although Tobias in his presentation did talk about the press article which came out last week talking about $60 cell prices, we ourselves are actually trying to validate those numbers, and also particularly at the pack level, because that $80 pack numbers right now we are not able to validate that from directly the suppliers or any of the other competitors. So we would like to little bit understand more number of times, although Tobias in his presentations did cover the differences between cell level, pack level, module level, and system level prices. One of the biggest challenge in Indian context happens that as soon as someone hears these type of prices, everyone wants to wait for those prices for their system, irrespective if they're buying only one system or 10 systems at kilowatt level. They would still expect those prices and try to negotiate on that. At the same time, actually price is not the only parameter. It is important, but not the only parameter. So here I'm showing some charts related to how things are changing on the energy density, which is again one of the most critical parameters when you're looking at residential and commercial energy storage systems. And this is the area, just to give you a context, back in 2009, when the Customized Energy Solutions, we worked on one of the first installations of grid-scale energy storage project. A 250 kilowatt-hour system would have required somewhere around a 20-foot shipping container, or maybe if you think of a 40-foot shipping container as a standard size, maybe 500 kilowatt-hour in that size. Now, 2-3 years later, in around 2012, A123 introduced 1 megawatt-hour system in a 53-foot container, so slightly bigger container, but almost double the capacity. Then once Korean companies started coming in, they started introducing 2 megawatt-hour systems with particularly NMC chemistry in a 40-foot container. So this was around 2013, 2014 timeline. And now coming to the current timeline, now the same size container can typically provide for an energy system 6 megawatt hour or more. In fact, before the fires happened in South Korea, Samsung had even introduced a system where they were promising 9.3 megawatt hour in a 40-foot container. So if you take a look at sort of a 10-year progression, then going from just around 500 kilowatt hour in a 40-foot container to going more than 6 megawatt hour, that itself is also amazing. And but whenever you are talking about anything behind the meter, that space saving is something which is also becoming a very valuable benefit for the customers. And this trend is expected to continue. So just in terms of the numbers, right now in terms of the volumetric energy density, we are looking at numbers somewhere around 250 to 300 watt hour per liters, and these numbers are expected to possibly even double by 2025. The other parameter, and again Tobias did mention about this in terms of the cycle life, where there are technologies like flow battery technologies are already in much advantageous positions where you can have 10,000 or longer life. There are certain lithium-ion technologies like lithium titanate oxide chemistry, where instead of graphite electrode, you have lithium titanate electrode. They can also give more than 10,000 cycles. In fact, some manufacturers have claimed even 30,000 cycles, which are very useful if you are using a lot of charge discharge cycles multiple times in a day for applications like frequency regulation or ramp rate control for renewables. But for energy applications, that is maybe a little bit overkill. Typically for most of the energy applications, we see anywhere from 3,000 to maybe 6,000 is a very good number, because typically when you're using the system for once a year, one per day, then you're looking at 300 to 350 cycles in any given year. So even with 5,000, 6,000 cycles, you can get more than 15 years of life. And although electrochemically the chemistries can work, but in terms of the construction, in terms of the packaging at the cell level, typically the warranties for that is at 10 years. Again, even if the material is not degrading, ultimately the warranties may be there. And particularly, as Tobias mentioned in his remarks, in India, since the interest rates are higher, going beyond 10 years is right now a little bit too aggressive. So we are looking at now technologies which can provide like 5 to 10 years kind of a warranties for different applications, and that is something which is now easily possible with these technologies. And this is a huge change as compared to lead acid batteries, where typically most of the customers, depending on their usage, are used to having maybe quarterly or 6 months some maintenance visits, as well as maybe completely replacing the system anywhere from 3 to 5 years. So this is becoming again one of the key advantages for the storage technologies. And the other aspect, if you notice, the x-axis is round trip efficiency. So the lead acid systems typically have round trip efficiency of anywhere from 70 to 80%, depending on how deep you are cycling those cells. But lithium-ion chemistries typically offer at a cell level more than 90% round trip efficiency. Of course, there are some additional loads such as air conditioning, which can bring that down to 80% at a system percent level. But at a cell level, these are very efficient systems, and there's a lot of work happening in improving the system designing to reduce the need for air conditioning and reducing some of the auxiliary loads for these systems. Now, coming to the system prices based on sort of global prices, and Tobias did share Bloomberg numbers, so these are not completely different, but these are based on some of the projects where we have been involved and what study which we have done. One thing which people need to understand is within storage system, depending on the sizing of the storage system, you will see different prices, and that's a part where number of people do get confused with all the press releases and articles, or spend maybe a couple of minutes on this topic. So as Tobias again mentioned, that right from cell or pack prices to going to the entire system level prices, there are balance of the system, inverter, the installation and EPC cost, any other soft costs in terms of the taxes and others. So those all are important. And if you are sizing the system for 1 hour versus if you are sizing the system for 4 or larger hours, then those components can change because certain costs which are like say inverter, which is going to be dependent on how much is your power rating, that cost remains same irrespective if you are doing a 1-hour system or 4-hour system. So these are the type of things where as you go for longer duration systems, the cost can come down for balance of the system. But again, you need to consider that you are now putting more batteries, so the overall system cost is definitely increasing. So now coming to rooftop solar blended cost, we are very optimistic about rooftop solar plus storage, and this is the area where I think number of skeptics are going to get caught by surprise. And as Tobias shared, in Europe, in Australia, and other places, we are already seeing this happening. And in India also, this will happen very fast, and that is not going to be dependent on government policies as such. But we believe that this is just going to be because of the techno-commercial merit of the business case. So what you're seeing on the left-hand side chart is a system where say you have whatever is your solar system, you are putting 50% of that energy into a battery for 4-hour duration. So if you have a 10 kilowatt solar system, then this is considering 5 kilowatt 4 hours, so that is 20 kilowatt hour batteries attached to a 10 kilowatt rooftop solar. You can store effectively around just under 50% of the energy which is generated by solar. So in this case, so with such blended prices, we are seeing for a 1-hour system, the cost is somewhere around 6.7 rupees right now, versus if you are doing a 4-hour system, that is you are storing more energy, then it would be priced, the blended price would be around 9 rupees, which seems very high. But again, the cost reduction curve, which is expected with both solar and battery prices reducing, is very attractive. And if you remember, as Tobias showed towards the end of his presentation, there are a number of states where especially commercial industrial customers, or in some cases even the residential customers, particularly townships where lots of common loads are being metered on a single. You are billing all the common loads in a township on a same meter, you are actually ending up paying more than 10 rupees or 12 rupees per kilowatt hour as a price. So there such solar plus storage combined systems actually are already cheaper than the cost which all these townships and other customers are paying. So we expect once these systems are made available and there is a better customer confidence, we are going to see very rapid deployment, and as that deployment increases, more localization starts happening in India, the price reductions could be even bigger. So I'll now share some numbers from the upcoming India Energy Storage Market Overview Report, which we release every year. The report which we are releasing now, it should be released in next week or so, is covering time from 2020 to 2027 for forecast. So here, in terms of looking at different applications, diesel replacements is definitely top of priority because there are still number of customers, and Tobias shared number of 120 gigawatt based on looking at somewhere around 90 gigawatt to 95 gigawatt as a current DG market, but irrespective, that's a huge market. But one caveat there is we don't expect that all those DG sets will be replaced. In fact, our expectation right now is for the first 5 years, maybe only around 5% of that market is a target market where storage can significantly cut down on diesel usage. But that itself becomes almost like a 5 gigawatt market for maybe a couple of hours of storage. The other applications include microgrid applications on renewable, where already the business case is getting better, and with the price reductions at 2025 and beyond, it is going to get even stronger. The behind the meter residential customers right now, we think, because most of the residential customers in India pay very low tariff rate, unless they are really high net worth customers with who are on a highest bracket in terms of their energy consumption. behind the meter storage may not make sense immediately, but somewhere between 2020 to 23 and onwards, we expect more and more such customers will start replacing the typical home inverter systems which they are putting in, especially in tier 2, tier 3 cities, with advanced energy storage systems with lithium-ion batteries. So in terms of the projections of the overall storage market on an annual basis, the current market is already more than 20 gigawatt hour, which is mainly dominated by lead acid batteries. But going like 7 years forwards, we expect in 2027 this market would be anywhere between 25 to 57 gigawatt hour as an annual market. So on a best case scenario, the market could more than double within next 7 years. Currently, as I mentioned, more than 95% of the market is dominated by lead acid batteries in the stationary segment, but lithium-ion batteries have starting to make inroad. And going forward, we do expect this penetration to increase substantially. So here are some more data related to year-by-year projections, and the actual report includes a lot more details about how these different scenarios are covered. So I won't get into too many details. One thing which Tobias mentioned with some of the data from Bridge to India is that the rooftop solar market has started to grow significantly in last year. This was one of the maybe challenges which was faced by policymakers, where grid-connected solar was growing relatively fast, but rooftop solar had not picked up. But that seems to have changed now. And with the current economics, and now with financing being made available for rooftop solar, we do expect this trend to continue, where just based on the commercial industrial customer segment, we think the price parity has already been reached. And apart from some states where they are trying to create additional barriers in terms of the interconnection, I think this trend is going to grow. So overall, this market will be again dominated by commercial and industrial segment, but residential sector is also starting to catch up with now more than 10% on as the overall market for rooftop solar. One of the key things which you need to understand is, and this is the area where I think we need to do a lot more work in terms of educating the system integrators or renewable energy companies. We see number of times people do end up going ahead with the standard solar installation and then come up and add a separate storage and inverter. And partly it is being done just to try to get some benefits on the GST, where if you are combining those batteries with solar, then you can have a lower GST rate. But actually they are not doing proper system engineering to optimize on it. Whereas if you actually do spend some time in designing the system properly, and rather than using a unidirectional inverter, if you can start using a bidirectional inverter and integrate it well with the system, then you can actually get higher savings in terms of the overall system designing. In terms of the energy storage in rooftop solar, based on our current market survey, we are seeing that most of the, especially on the residential side or even small commercial side, customers are adding lead acid batteries with rooftop solar. But practically, based on the analysis on the levelized cost of energy, lithium-ion batteries actually offer a better economic case for integrating with solar. The only sort of challenge there is the upfront capital costs and lack of financing mechanisms available. So we are currently working with World Bank, AIIB, as well as few of the other international financing agencies to try to figure out if we can expand on some of the existing programs for rooftop solar financing, or create new programs where the rooftop solar plus storage can be financed together. And try to make that available on an OPEX basis, because as soon as that happens, we do expect significant growth in the market. In terms of the going forward, looking into our crystal ball, and again, it could be subject to number of changes, but we do expect by 2027, almost 70% of the installations could be dominated by lithium-ion battery technologies. There is a caveat. This is a base case scenario. There are certain scenarios where even other chemistries such as metal air batteries or flow batteries can also make some penetration, although we expect that to be in low single digits or maybe high single digits or low like between 10 to 15% in a best case scenario. So the majority of the market we do expect will remain between lead acid and lithium ion batteries. But in 2027, our projections are that almost 70% of the market on that year would be driven by lithium ion battery technologies. Now, the other area is on the microgrid side, and most of the people who know about IESA's work know that we launched this initiative Micro in 2016, where we have been working on reducing levelized cost of energy for microgrids, and a lot of work has happened. We have been fortunate to even get partnership with USAID as well as European Space Agency for exploring different parts of it. And this is a segment where overall market is relatively small, especially because in the last 2 years, Indian government has done amazingly well in doing grid expansion. But at the same time, what we are seeing now challenge is that number of these areas where grid expansion has happened, that is just a single phase expansion, which is sufficient for maybe home lighting or maybe watching or running some home appliances. But particularly looking at economic activity, running some productive appliances, which sometimes require three-phase, those things are not possible with the way the current grid expansion has taken place. So we do feel that there is a key role which microgrids can play in terms of providing not just access to basic electricity, but actually transforming some of these remote regions into economic growth channels. And that's the area where we are currently working on. So typically these systems would be anywhere.
8 minutes around, 8 to 10 minutes.
Sure, yeah. So typically these systems are somewhere between 1 to 30 kilowatt in system. Technically, these microgrids could be even much bigger, but particularly in the remote area context, we are looking at these systems as typically around 30 kilowatt or smaller. So here are some projections in terms of the base case and worst case scenario. So we expect by 2027 the market to be somewhere between 60 to 200 megawatt hour in terms of the energy storage potential. Now coming to the overall review, and this is not only for rooftop, but considering both grid connected and rooftop sector, including and also including wind. The left-hand side chart shows the range between the base case, the worst case, and base case scenario, and the right-hand side also shows some of the changes which we expect to happen based on the economics. So we expect right now. There are projects where, except for some of these large SECI tenders where they are already asking for 4-hour storage, the other projects will be somewhere between 1 to 2 hour of energy storage installations, especially on the commercial industrial customer segment. But going forward beyond 2023, we expect that the 4-hour configuration could become more of a standard option, and beyond 2025 we actually expect the systems could start actually moving towards 6-hour or bigger systems. Now in terms of the global experience, and Tobias has made my job easy, so I'll try to run through this fast. There are a range of technologies available. Although as I mentioned, when it comes to the residential system, probably lithium ion and lead acid are going to continue to dominate. But there are some of the other systems, including metal air or others, which may also come in apart from the flow batteries, which are already getting commercialized right now. So here is, in terms of the home system, probably Tesla with the introduction of Powerwall sort of created this category where people, not just from the backup point of view, but from an aspirational point of view, started looking at home energy storage systems and combining that with the sort of solar roof initiative and electric vehicles. They're trying to create this complete end-to-end solution for customers where you can actually power your house as well as maybe your electric vehicle charging through solar and have your commute also completely on an electric vehicle, so to minimize any environmental impact in terms of direct emissions. Obviously, Tesla is not the only one. There are a number of companies, right from Mercedes-Benz to Sonnen to some of the other startups which have come up. And you can see there again, everyone is taking slightly different approach in terms of the looks and feel of the system as well. So it's not about just putting in batteries in a standard container. Like if you see lead-acid batteries for almost more than 50-60 years in terms of the form factor, there hasn't been much innovation which has happened. Whereas we are seeing that within lithium-ion batteries, since we have different type of batteries, right from cylindrical to pouch to prismatic cells, as well as you have different chemistries which require different amount of cooling or life. There are a lot of innovation which are happening. The bottom right-hand side image, if you are wondering where is the storage, it's actually embedded in the wall in form of the tiles on the wall. So they are going for a very slick design where they don't want storage to be seen as a separate installation, but it is integrated with the architecture of the interior. So there are a lot of these type of innovations which are taking place, and that's where people are trying to find out how to make it mainstream. And one of the key areas where we expect the home energy storage systems can grow is if they can start getting integrated right when people are purchasing their houses. Because if you think of it as a typical residential house nowadays in most of the major cities, people are spending anywhere from 60 lakh to maybe even a few crore rupees for purchasing the houses. Now, if you are looking at somewhere between say 2 to 5 lakh kind of a cost of storage for 5 to 10 kilowatt hour system, if that can be integrated right at the time when people are purchasing the house, and that gives them sort of a peace of mind where they don't have to worry about having a separate cost of running diesel or the issues related to the emissions and noise of the diesel, and this becomes financed as along with the house for 10 to 15 years along with the housing loan, then that becomes a very streamlined situation. And right now, as the IESA, as part of the ESA Smith initiative, which Devi mentioned in his introductory remarks, we have also been reaching out to a number of progressive real estate developers who are interested in exploring these type of opportunities. So we think, again, there are a lot of business model innovations which can come into this home system place. Technically, what you're looking at is you have solar panels, you have an inverter, you have a battery, and it is all getting integrated. And rather than just having maybe a solar inverter and having a separate inverter with a battery, like in case of Tesla, they already have the inverter embedded. You can even have like a one just common bi-directional inverter, which is taking care of both solar as well as batteries, as well as maybe interfacing with diesel generator or other systems in the house. Typically, the move is towards making the home as a smart home where lots of appliances, right from your air conditioners to washing machines, refrigerators, everything could be smart and connected. And then by, as Tobias mentioned, in Germany, already there is a competition in terms of the social status on how you are managing your solar generation. Even managing your home in an intelligent way could become a driver for such systems. Now, just as a comparison, and some of these prices have changed, but this is last year's data when we had compiled a comparison of these systems. We are seeing the cost per kilowatt hour substantially different between US versus some of the European systems. Maybe some of this now convergence has happened. Tesla, I think prices recently they have increased it to $6,500, and plus there is an additional $1,000 for rest of the hardware. So maybe around they're looking at $7,500 to $8,000 for the system. And Sonnen also now has, I believe, 10 kilowatt hour systems, which is slightly costlier, but not too much costlier the way it was shown in this comparison. Now, this is again data from Germany. Tobias had shared a lot more, so I won't get into too many details. But what I wanted to show here is that there are lots of options available to customers, and the market is right now fragmented. Although there are 3 or 4 dominant companies, but we do see these type of fragmented market will remain in this space till there is some company which can come in and especially bundle financing or other services along with batteries and do some kind of a game-changing innovation, not just on a technical side, but on a business model side. Now in the India, this is just starting up. Tobias mentioned about vision mechatronics. So to try to create awareness about this, IESA has recently launched IESA store, where we are not still doing e-commerce, but this is mainly to provide a platform for all the IESA members to showcase products which they have available, where customers or visitors who are visiting IESA website can directly compare these products and reach out to the IESA member companies if they're interested. So again, this is right now in beta phase. We are just testing it, but within next 3 to 4 weeks, most of the IESA members should have their products listed on this site, and then we will start promoting it. So to conclude, I think overall the growth of solar photovoltaic and improvements in storage technologies, not just in terms of the cost reduction, but also in terms of the energy density improvement as well as cycle life improvement, is going to make PV plus storage a very standard option around the globe. In India, we expect for next 2 or 3 years, the market will be driven by commercial and industrial segment. But beyond 2023, or even right now, for some of the high-end customers, we do see there are opportunities which are possible, particularly as most of the distribution companies are trying to move away from net metering regulations and introducing gross metering regulations. There are immediate opportunities coming up for customers for doing such PV plus storage integration. The safety and certification is going to be a critical. Since 2016, IESA has tried to lead the discussion around safety of energy storage system, because the only concern we have in, especially in the Indian context, is safety. If we do not manage and if we just keep on focusing on cost as the only driver for growth of energy storage, then what happened in Korea or what happened in some of the other countries could very well happen in India. And given the density and population of India, if there are some casualties, then that could actually set back the growth of the industry significantly. So as IESA, we are working with all the members through technology working group to try to make sure that we are educating all the members about latest inputs on safety of these systems. And we also need to work with various regulators and fire departments and other stakeholders to ensure that once this system starts proliferating, there is enough awareness about what is required in case of any fire or any other accident happens, and how this can be managed. So again, this is the area where we need support from all of you, and especially from any system integrators or customers. You need to understand that we will be doing separate webinars or talking about safety and performance of these systems also in coming months. So please, if you're interested, please do reach out to us for that. The last aspect is related to EVs. And already, if you have noticed, just maybe 10 days back, Tesla has also announced, apart from their application for the energy trading, they have also introduced now a bi-directional inverter as part of their EV charging. So I think ultimately the way the electric vehicles are moving, where initially most of the electric vehicles were coming with like a 5 to 15 kilowatt hour kind of a battery pack, whereas now if you see some of the next generation vehicles are coming with 100 kilowatt hour plus battery packs. And since most of the times these vehicles are parked either at office or at residential level, there is a very good chance that rather than having separate installation of batteries, people may start actually using electric vehicle itself as a storage solution. And obviously, I think if you are driving, then you may not have sufficient backup. So that's where maybe it may be some combination where people do install maybe a 1 hour kind of a storage at home, but for longer duration, maybe the electric vehicle itself can provide additional backup where available. The policy support needs to be refined, and this is the area where in India electricity is a dual jurisdiction with both central government and state governments coming in. So IESA is working now with individual state regulators so that we can try to drive the discussion in this area. So again, if you are interested in this, please reach out to us and we'll be happy to share more details on some of the work IESA is doing in this area. So with that, I would like to end my presentation and hand it over to the next speaker.
Thanks, Rahul. Please be present. We will have a Q&A session at the end. I welcome Mr. Gautam Mohanka for the presentation from the Gallo Energy perspective and how they are doing this in Indian market. So it is not like that all the futuristic market. The current also there is a potential and many companies including Gallo Energy is addressing the market. So Gautam, please unmute yourself. Okay. So I will run your presentation whenever, or do you have an updated presentation or the same one I will run?
You already have my presentation, I think.
Yes.
I said Devyani.
Yes, I'm running that. Whenever you want next slide, just let me know.
Sure. In the meanwhile, hello everyone, I am Gautam Mohanka. It was a fantastic presentation by both Tobias and Rahul. I also came to know of many things happening globally which I did not know of earlier, because I'm focusing on my own business, and we're trying to provide as in energy solutions to our own markets.
So I hope you're able to see the screen.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to introduce, Mr. Gautam Mohanka is the founder of the Gallo Energy and Gautam Solar. He is working for last 20 years in the same space, and they are manufacturing and supplied of 70 plus megawatt hour systems in India. And they also develop BMS, microcontroller based BMS, 48 volt BMS and hierarchical BMS in this space. And they are also supplying lithium ion batteries. Gautam, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll give you background of what we do. We've been in solar space for about 20 years, 22 years now, and we got into, we were always doing rural energy systems, so which included de facto the battery backup systems. So earlier we were making and supplying lead acid batteries, and for about 6-7 years back we started doing lithium ion. And for about 3 years or 4 years now, we'll be doing lithium ferrous phosphate. And in last 3-4 years, we've supplied over 70 megawatt hours of lithium ferrous phosphate solutions into the market. So basically, our understanding is of the markets, and primarily it is of the residential market. It is we've done some commercial market with energy storage, but not in a big way. Most of our focus has always been on the residential systems. So when we see the residential systems, can we go back to the earlier slide? Yeah. So when we see the residential system market, we say that the market for power backup is still there. We understand that there's been a lot of electrification from the government end, and when they say that almost 100% of India has been electrified, but still there's some pockets which are yet to be electrified, as we understand it. And second, 24/7 power target that has not been achieved. That is still work in progress. And if you talk to people in the rural areas, and if you look at news and other items, you would see that the roastering is still on. They say that we're giving 18 hours of electricity in rural areas. In district areas, they're trying to give more than 20 hours plus. But a lot of times there are grid failures also, especially during this this time of pandemic. A lot of upkeep and maintenance was not happening as per schedule because of lack of manpower or lack of material availability. And Therefore, we saw a lot of grid failure in some of the villages that we work in, some of the towns and districts that we work. We also saw a power not being available for more than 10 days at a stretch. So market for backup is still existing. And also going forward, we see the utilities are not in great shape. They have financial problems. The electricity demand has gone down substantially in the lockdown period. And also they were never in a good shape to begin with. So with this kind of setback, and as in they're taking on more loans, and but they how do they get back into shape? And this residential market is not very profitable for the utilities, because the tariffs are really low, and in a lot of rural areas they do not even get the electricity bill payment done. They're not able to get that payment, so it's a big problem. That is why we say that there's a market for power backup. But coming on to the other side, on the consumer side, if we say that they are going to buy, the demand is there for residential backup system, but the cost of the system is still pretty high, and people want to avoid it as much as possible, because generally also in India the average incomes are not very high. And with the COVID situation, the income levels have gone down substantially. So, and a lot of people have also lost their jobs, and economy has taken a general downturn. So we believe that the market will still have to, struggle a bit more these days. But we see an opportunity on the government side. We see an opportunity because there are a lot of focus on the rooftop residential space. There are a lot of tenders in the Gujarat, about 600 megawatt, if I'm not wrong. And again, they're coming out with a tender for 600 megawatt residential systems. In Madhya Pradesh, there's a tender. In Uttar Pradesh, there was a tender. But they did not have a residential backup system as a part of their initiative. So what we believe is, even if they allow, they do not, maybe they're not, they do not make it compulsory, they do not make more incentive available, but even if they allow as a matter of policy that, okay, you can have a power backup system, we see that some demand can still come up. And over a period of time, if there could be some incentive, subsidy and loan, subsidy and loan becomes available to these customers, then it would be great, because ultimately, cost of the system is a huge hindrance in India, and the interest costs are pretty high, and moreover, it is difficult to get loan for end consumers on these kind of systems on their own. But comparing between lead acid and lithium ion or lithium ferrous phosphate, we see that there's still a preference for lead acid. The customers are not as in gung-ho about lithium right now. I'm talking about end consumers. I'm not talking about institutional customers, but I'm talking about residential customers. They're not gung-ho about lithium because they do not understand the technology, and it's more expensive. So for the same cost, they are able to get more capacity in terms of lead acid, or they pay a lower cost in lead acid, and they understand it much better. And so they prefer, the preference is still for lead acid. Next slide, please. Yeah. So when we come to the next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, next one. Yeah, this one. So when we talk about the commercial and institutional consumers, then we see that it makes more financial sense for these kind of customers than residential customers. Why? Because basically there's some application, like in my factory also, there's some application which is always has to be on. You cannot shut them down ever. So you require, anyways, we are buying a UPS backup system. Some machines are mission critical, and you cannot shut them down even for 30 seconds. So you require to have a UPS backup system. And invariably, as Tobias talked about, we already have a huge installed base of genset systems. Those are again power backup systems, and therein basically the gensets are basically being sold in the commercial space, and there we can always provide a replacement through this energy storage battery systems. And also in commercial and in industrial space, we see there's a time of day billing concept. So sometimes the energy is more expensive during some part of the day as compared to the other parts of the day. So if you have energy storage, then it makes more sense. And also you get a good amount of depreciation, about 40% depreciation you can claim in the first year of installation itself. So, but as again, economic issues are there right now. A lot of companies are getting affected, but we believe that with the way economic activity is getting back on track, it will surely bounce back. But when we talk to our commercial clients, then they want a solar system right now. They're ready to pay for grid connected systems, but energy storage systems, the customers are not really keen as of now. So some good marketing has to be done in order to convince them that overall it's a very, very beneficial system for them. Next slide. Yeah. So I was also asked to talk about the experience of Saubhagya scheme. We did a lot of these Saubhagya schemes installations, and we did about more than 50,000 installations across the country. First of all, these were meant for very, very difficult areas, highly remote areas, wherever the electricity could be provided through cable or wire. They were provided through that mechanism, but only very difficult areas were left for installation through solar and battery-based systems. These included areas such as deep forest areas, or there are a number of river islands in the country. In fact, I was myself surprised to know that there was a river island in Gothenburg in Greater Noida itself, and we installed a couple of systems there also. Again, there are mountainous areas wherein it's difficult to provide electricity normally. So there also these Saubhagya installations were done. Now the thing to understand about this market is it's not a sophisticated market at all, and you require to provide a rugged system, because the batteries are exposed to all kinds of elements. So the roofs are the roofs wherein we provide these systems are thatched roofs. Sometimes they are also leaking, and they are open to rainwater can come in on the ground, and the water might get filled up to about a feet or so. So all kinds of problems are there in those areas. So we need to provide a very, very rugged product for these kind of markets. It's not the systems that can be installed in city areas that you can deploy immediately in these rural or remote areas. So it has to be difficult. It has to be a rugged product. Now, in these markets also, what we saw was customers were generally very happy because they got electricity, and some of them were seeing electricity for the first time in their life in terms of in their homes. And after independence, a lot of areas after independence were being electrified for the first time, and the customers were really happy. They celebrated that. But on asking, they said that their preference is still for lead acid battery, because again they call it Batra because of the size of the batteries which are generally provided in these areas, the lead acid batteries. And they preferred those things for size, because they thought they could also run other appliances which were not as a part of the package. This package mainly consisted of solar panels, lithium ferrous phosphate battery pack, 1 kWh each, the couple of LED lights, fan, whether it could be ceiling fan or it could be a pedestal fan, and a mobile charging port. It was not meant for full-bodied usage. It could not run the appliances as we run in urban areas, but for basic electricity usage right now. And it was done in order to lower the cost and provide a faster deployment than what could happen through conventional electricity as in mechanism. So Basically, what we understand that overall in the market world is it's very, very useful for rural markets, number one. Number two, in the urban market, the customers want to have a battery backup system because once the grid gets shut down, the solar system which they have employed, deployed on their rooftop, if those are not working, and customers sometimes with that kind of system. And they want, if you tell them properly that the system will operate only the grid connected, so when the electricity is on, they do not want that. So they want something which will run even in case they require power backup. In Kolkata, we saw a lot of places being shut down due to the recent disaster. And some people who had the battery backup system, they were really happy. So, and the CNI market, though it makes more economic sense and can overall take up a huge quantity of these batteries, we see a slower deployment due to the fact that they need to be marketed really well with this kind of product. That is all. Thank you.
Thanks, Gautam. So let's take some few questions from the attendees. The first question I will go ahead with. Okay. What is the LCOE of stationary application India versus Europe based on the capital cost? Rahul or Tobias? Any one of you want to answer?
I'd say Rahul is the right person, right?
Yeah.
Based on
So
the capital cost? Yes,
yeah, so I think in terms of the LCOE numbers, what we already mentioned, I think if you're just looking at the cost of the LCOE from the battery system, then typically those numbers are anywhere from 7 rupees to 12 rupees, depending on mainly the application, what you're doing and what type of battery you select, because there may be some batteries which have only say 2,000 or 3,000 cycles, whereas some batteries which have more than 6,000 cycles. So that would have a significant impact on the levelized cost. The other part where maybe in India right now, we are still need to get down some of the cost of the system integration as well as installation costs down, although we have an inherent advantage of having cheap labor, but there is a lot of innovation and optimization which can happen when people are doing thousands of systems, which is already happening in Europe. So I expect actually from system integration point of view, some of the system integrators in Europe, they are in a much better position right now. Although we are confident that Indian companies can, through either partnership or through their own learning, can catch up relatively quickly. But right now, the volumes and the experience is going to be a, there is a learning curve which Indian companies have to go through that. So Tobias, maybe you want to add about anything from the Europe?
Oh, I mean, I had shared also the electricity tariffs in India, no? And there you could definitely see, as you have shown, that industrial commercial is the sector in India, and in Germany it's residential because the residential tariffs are the highest, no? And if you only get half of what feed-in tariff of what you're paying to the discom, then it's starting to make sense, no? So yeah, in Germany it starts to make sense at about 8 rupee per kilowatt hour, 8 rupee extra difference. So okay, I'm generating my solar at around in Germany it's twice as expensive as in India, no, because we have only half of the sun as you have. So the solar for us in Germany would cost more like 8 rupees or 9 rupees for rooftop per kilowatt hour, while you are able to do it maybe for 4 or 5 rupees, no? And then you add the battery, another 8 rupees maybe, no? But Raul, as you said, this game of cycles that really makes the big difference now in Germany, no? So if we are talking about 20, 30 years of use case, then this is changing a lot now, no? So this is why actually more than, I think now each solar system installed in India, we are right at about 60–70% of all new PV rooftop systems installed in Germany come with a battery. So it's like almost two-thirds, I would say. In 2017, it was around 50%, and now it's up. So yeah, but that's a residential sector because of the high tariffs. No? In India, that would be commercial and industrial.
Okay. So one more question for Tobias. You mentioned about India doesn't need long duration storage. So the reason behind it. Hi Tobias.
Yeah, I didn't have the microphone.
So there is a question.
Beginner error. That refers more to large scale storage actually, no? Because yes, in Delhi, if there's 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row with less sun, that's possible. No? You can generate solar also with indirect solar radiation or albedo effect and so on. But this graph actually, in regard to long-term storage, refers more to large-scale storage. So yeah, if you remember this, I don't know if I show the slide again. There's always sun in India, somewhere in India. No? So if you have an electricity exchange and you trade electricity all over India, and you have storage assets, also large-scale storage assets, you only need or pump storage, demand-side efficiency, like so many things you can do. No, but storage and battery storage is one part of the game. So you only have to surpass the night. I don't know if I have another graph which I can show you, but you're all aware, no, of the peak demand in India. So if I share this, where is it here? Where can you see the presentation now?
No.
I will make you the presenter. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, I may.
Yeah, so maybe just to supplement, so Tobias, so yes, we also agree that typically in India right now, the biggest challenge with all the solar and renewables coming in is meeting the evening peak, or maybe in some states also meeting the morning peak, which typically is somewhere between 2 to 4 hours. So we also expect that initially the business case to be driven by that. And also if you consider the diesel reduction as a business case, majority of the regions in India are now getting power cuts which are less than 2 hours. So in some cases there may be more frequent power cuts, so they may be having 4 or 5 hour power cuts in a day, but those are typically not continuous power cuts. And that's where we think initially the business case will be driven by less than 2 hour storage or diesel optimization.
Yeah. So that's a beautiful situation. No, that is what I mean. You're building these what is it, 7 gigawatt net plus 7 to 8 gigawatt plant coal gigawatt per year. No, just to cater the peak demand at 2230. That's where you have the peak demand. At least last year in June, that was around 184 gigawatt all India. No, so this is just very few hours throughout the year. Why do you need to have coal-fired power plants there for 365 days? No, you just have to pay them with a fixed part, and then you only need a few hours. No, so that's where it makes sense to put storage, because these assets you can use all the time. And yeah, that's, you shift the sun to the night. That's all. And the next day somewhere else in India the sun is shining. No. Or you charge the battery from the grid. You don't necessarily need to charge the battery from your own solar system. If you talk about large scale, you just buy the power at the electricity exchange. And as you are well aware, these tariffs in India right now, no, the tenders which came out now, if I swap the view, so you see government of India during the day now, they're not willing to pay more than 3.5 euro cents. So let's say 2 to 3 rupee per kilowatt hour, no, from 9 till 6. These are the SECI tenders now, no. And but between 6 and 9 o'clock in the morning, government of India is actually willing to pay 7 rupees per kilowatt hour, no. And then it makes sense, especially to combine wind and a battery. I don't know if Renew Power, which or Green Power Techno, which won these tenders, they won't do anything else than that. No, makes sense.
Okay. So there is next question, maybe Rahul or Gautam. With battery cost coming down, would you expect more DC powered home off-grids in India? Gautam or Rahul, any of you can answer.
I can answer that. Basically, the cost has definitely a role to play in the Indian market. Cost is one of the biggest drivers in the Indian context. But also, it all depends upon the power situation in that particular area. If the power situation is worsening, then we'll see a big sales, especially in the residential market. But if the power situation is improving and you get 24/7 power available throughout the country, then there will be a fall in demand in the residential space as of now, unless the government supports the residential grid connected systems with more of this energy storage systems also. And we've been asking the government to do that, but in fact with the MP government we also tried to push that case. They took out tender also, but it has been hold since a long time in that market.
Okay, so there are three questions I'm combining. So Rahul, what's your plan? What's India's view on lithium, advanced lithium batteries, advanced lead acid batteries, zinc air, and sodium ion? So these are four questions I've just combined about these four technologies.
Sure. So I think again, as I mentioned during my introductory remarks, India traditionally has been a lead acid dominated sector. And that right now will remain mainly because there are some excellent manufacturers like Amar Raja and others who are dominating this space, and there are a number of user applications, traditional applications, particularly on the backup side, where lead acid batteries all still can serve the purpose. So we don't expect lead acid batteries are going to vanish. There are a number of advances happening in the advanced lead acid battery chemistry, where you can get, even with lead acid chemistry, more than 1200 or 1500 cycles. And if that is made available at a price point, maybe say 20-30% premium over lead acid batteries, that could actually meet number of customers requirements. The challenge on that side is that unfortunately right now no major lead acid battery company has introduced truly advanced lead acid battery chemistries at a commercial scale. So they are doing it some pilots, but they have lost probably maybe 3+ years in introducing some of these technologies, and the pace at which lithium-ion batteries have caught up, now it is going to be a difficult. So I think it is a case like a classic innovator's dilemma for lead acid battery companies, where they felt that the customers were happy with what they were selling, and they decided not to commercialize some of the technologies which would have made actually life much difficult for lithium-ion batteries if those advanced lead acid battery chemistries were done. I don't know if there was any particular technical issues which these companies faced, or if it was just a management decision where they took customers for granted, but as a result now they're going to face significant challenge. In terms of the lithium-ion batteries, yes, there are a lot of innovation happening. There are billions of dollars being spent, particularly focusing on the automotive sector, but that is also leading to a lot of advances in lithium-ion batteries for stationary side. One key area where number of people are working on is safety as well as the temperature tolerance, because in India particularly you're looking at ambient temperatures which are substantially higher than what is in China or in Europe or US, and the temperature definitely has a impact on the life of these systems. So there is a significant work and innovation taking place in that area. Also on the system engineering side, there is a lot of learning still being adopted on the lithium-ion side. In terms of the other chemistries such as flow batteries or metal layer batteries, yes, there are a lot of promising technologies within IESA family. We have 5+ companies who are working on these areas, and in terms of supporting innovation and creating a platform for technology neutral way, we are very much supporting those technologies. But next maybe 12 to 18 months are going to be very, very crucial for these technologies, because there are certain applications where these technologies can make an inroad, particularly for longer duration application, which as Tobias mentioned and I mentioned earlier, may not be the mainstream application, but still there are a number of cases like in islands or for resorts or in cases for like armed forces, there are requirements where people do need 10 hours or longer duration storage, and these metal layer batteries or flow batteries could be ideal for that. Now, I remember going back like in 2010, almost most of the companies were convinced that lithium-ion battery will never be used for anything more than 30 minutes or more than 1 hour. And that's where even GE made a mistake of investing almost $300 million in a technology which they could not commercialize fast enough and ultimately had to write off the investment. So time is going to be the biggest challenge for some of these companies, but are hopeful that some of these companies will be able to make that transition. And the biggest change right now in the industry is that there are a lot more applications where storage is now being seen. So it is no longer where storage is being seen only as a backup application. There are also hybrid configurations are coming in where people are finding, especially in case of metal layer batteries, where if you see the Indian Oil has now just announced a joint venture with an Israeli technology company, where they are going to use a lithium-ion battery plus a aluminum-air battery as a combination, where lithium-ion battery provides the power requirement for driving the electric vehicle, but aluminum air battery provide the cheaper long duration supply, which can make the driving range quite a lot. So there are a lot of these type of innovations coming in where it is not just one technology. With a right commercialization path, multiple technologies can coexist.
Okay. Thanks, Rahul. So we have oversold the time by 5 minutes, but before ending the last question, I think there are 3 people asked the same question. So what's about the second life of batteries? And globally, it is already talked about like EV batteries in second life can be used for BTM applications. So we can have all 3 of your views.
Sure. So second life batteries are showing a lot of promise, and there is a lot more interest in them. What we believe based on the work which we have done, and Dr. Satyajit Phadke, who leads R&D for CS and IESA, has looked into it very closely. There is a lot of work is still required. The biggest challenge right now is with the cost of new batteries falling down so rapidly, the amount of work which is required in testing the old battery packs, and if you have to disassemble and again reassemble those battery packs, then that is going to be a challenge. At the same time, I think in India we do live in a frugal economy, and we are seeing that even second life batteries from say laptops are finding ways for like hats or solar lanterns or those type of applications. So I'm pretty sure that in India we will find a way to use the second life batteries, but the key work is also required on the regulatory side, where proper labeling of the batteries in the first place, making sure that the batteries are designed, and this is an area where actually we can learn a lot from Europe, where the batteries are designed for maybe disassembling, because otherwise the way a lot of times the battery packs are made or the way the systems are made, it is almost impossible to try to disassemble and use it in a systematic way, whereas maybe Tobias can add in terms of some of the end of life regulations which European regulations has pushed for. Those type of concepts, if they are used, they can actually make life much easier for second life batteries.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest market segment is EVs, no, and not behind the meter. So there is regulations in Europe, but also China, that the car manufacturer has to take the battery back. And yes, there we are talking about big amounts of batteries, and definitely they are going to be used. So I talked about the mobility house. So they're having already halls deployed with old BMW i batteries, no? So there is also Tesla, no? They're taking it back for stationary storages. So these are use case, business cases. We are not talking about second life. We are also talking about third life. And then we are talking about recycling at one point. So Rahul was saying, okay, now price is down for the raw materials, but there is companies you can actually buy stocks at the exchange already, which have patents already filed for 100% of recycling of lithium. This is something which I always don't understand that much. I have to learn from our Indian friends. I hear scientists in India saying, oh no, let's don't import all these batteries from China. We have to do everything here from the cell on and so on. You know what China does? They import, it doesn't matter, from everywhere, but they don't allow export. So from the used material, no? So it's not allowed to export used batteries anymore because they want to have the raw materials, no? They're having it in their country, no? So I don't know what is the status of IESA in India, but I believe, for example, just import whatever you can. What you have, you have. No? There's some other sound coming in. Sorry, so I wasn't aware. So the thing is, no, once you have imported the lithium, you can recycle it and use it again. Right now, you're importing oil, you burn it and burn. Why don't you import batteries first? It's good, yeah, make in India, manufacturing and so on. But why do you start at the most difficult part? The value added is in the pack manufacturing and in the software and all these kind of things. There you can earn the money you can put in the Indian brain, no? Then when the market becomes bigger, then you might also want to have the better cell chemistry. But there the margins are like so small. I mean, even companies like Tesla, they are struggling now, no? They are thinking, okay, let's go into it. But they are the biggest battery consumer in the world. And even them, they have not started, no? So why should India start with this? Might make sense, but from a German perspective, why not earning money? But I think Rahul has another opinion on this. But I always feel when I hear the scientists in India, we might leapfrog for another chemistry and so on. No, just import whatever you have instead of importing oil, and then the oil you burn, the battery you can keep, no?
Sure. So Tobias, that's something which is an interesting point you brought up, and this is the part where we have differed with number of think tanks, like for example, even the Rocky Mountain Institute back in 2017 tried to give a same recommendation to Indian government, where they said that India should focus 5 years just on assembling, and after 5 years they should look at getting into cell manufacturing. Whereas as the IESA actually in 2016 we had started pushing for policies for cell manufacturing in India, because we think, having seen what has happened with semiconductors, what has happened with solar manufacturing, with laptops, cellular phones, and number of these industries, I think catching up on the manufacturing once the industry and the entire supply chain has developed elsewhere becomes very, very difficult. And then the margins ends up becoming something where it is almost impossible. And as you made an important point that you are actually reducing imports of oil, but if you reduce those imports by importing just batteries, and then ultimately it becomes an issue of national energy security. So again, I agree with you that there is no need for India to just focus on domestic innovation and waiting for batteries which are manufactured, completely invented in India. But at the same time, I think there is a role where there needs to be some domestic manufacturing capability at cell level should be there. And again, the way we are doing projections right now is we think that could not be even like more than like 30-40% of the entire market. So India would continue to import, but at the same time, I think India needs to have some domestic manufacturing capability, because we are also seeing there is a lot of innovation happening where there are new chemistries which are going to come up, which are going to evolve on the existing manufacturing processes. So if you don't have that capability domestically, then you are completely out of that space. So that's where we think India needs to prioritize, and we're very happy with the work which Niti Aayog has done for setting the target for 50 gigawatt hour manufacturing. And we're seeing same thing in Europe as well. Like just 2 years back, Europe was nowhere in the game for manufacturing, but now both Germany as well as UK and some of the other countries are now attracting this manufacturing, because I think all these countries and policymakers are realizing it is not just about the cost, but it is about national energy security, and you don't want to replace dependence from Middle Eastern oil to batteries from China. And that's where again we do think that with the global economy, if it works well, we will have this lot of interdependency, and we will have these active imports and exports happening around the world. But at the same time, since the energy storage and e-mobility is going to be such a crucial for the growth of economy for next 2-3 decades, we need to have some domestic capabilities.
Rahul, I totally agree. Can you hear me? Yeah, I totally agree. Even especially now in this COVID times, things are getting more, on the national side. But still, one thing is which I always hear, and which I actually, this argument of why should we just replace oil by batteries? So that argument actually doesn't count, because people saying that are saying that once you have imported the battery, it's gone. And this argument is just not true. And I hear this a lot in India. They're saying, no, we are just replacing the oil by batteries. No, the oil you're burning and it's gone. The battery you import, you can use it second life, third life, and then recycle. But I agree, at some point of time, if the market is big enough, then it definitely makes sense. And if you really have the government pushing for this big market, then these things have to start now. The only thing we see is it's a little bit chicken egg. India actually tries to develop the battery manufacturing first and then the market. Maybe that's mean to say, but that's my perception, but maybe that's not true, no? So I would say, okay, in Germany also it's Chinese investors manufacturing these batteries. So it's like, it's not only German companies, right? So the market is just there. The market is there, no? And if the market is there, then one can say, okay, no, in solar, this game is maybe out, no? It's done. There is hardly any company in the world would be able to compete, even US, Europe, Germany, difficult, no? Battery, no, I agree. But yes, that chicken egg market first, and please don't say batteries, we are replacing the oil through batteries. No, you're not replacing it. The oil is gone, the batteries you can recycle. That's marvelous.
Yes,
sure. The only point is with the recycled material, again, unless you have a domestic manufacturing, then you have to export the recycled material and again import the batteries. So, and again, this is going to take like 3 to 5 years. So even right now, when Indian government is trying to attract these investments, or even in Germany, right, we are talking about already this manufacturing to be operational in 2023. So that is another 3 years. So if you just look at where the world was in terms of manufacturing 3 years back and where it is right now, I think like next 3 years itself is a long time. So we are at least very passionate about this, that I don't think India has even a single day to lose anymore. We are actually very frustrated with the delays which are happening in rolling out the program, because everyone wants to wait for the actual orders. So right now we are talking to actually individual electric vehicle companies who are ready to sign a 3 to 4 year down the line a requirement for multiple gigawatt hour of battery procurement. So otherwise, if we don't set up that manufacturing in India, then this is all going to be just basically foreign exchange going out the door.
Yes, we have overshot by 15 minutes, and as the mission statement of IESA, we want both India as the adoption of energy storage as an application market, also on manufacturing. So we have to go on hand to hand. We can't ignore one part of it. We have to create a market in parallel to the manufacturing. So thanks.
But the question is, if it's all about import duties, no? So the question is, if you some sort of like hold back the development of a battery pack manufacturing in India by not allowing the cells being imported at the reduced duty or with duty waived off, because you want to protect any manufacturing. And maybe this might be not the right way. Maybe you can have both, no? Get the materials in, and push manufacturing of cells at the same time. I agree also with the universities, so many parallel approaches, no? But I don't know if it's wise to actually increase or put any import duties on the batteries itself, because you can develop a lot already by the pack manufacturing.
Yes, what do you understand? That's a short-term measure. That may not be the long-term plan of the government. That to encourage now, that may be a short-term plan for the government to encourage the indigenous energy ecosystem creation.
Can you see actually this photo which I'm showing here, the second use for batteries? Are you able to see that?
Yes. Yeah, we can see that.
Yes.
So for all these auto manufacturers in Europe, they're saying, okay, we put charging stations at the low voltage level, distribution grid. No, I don't know. Here, I live Saftarjung and Clare, so the transformer might be not able to charge 3 Teslas at the same time with 100 kilowatt. No, boom, no. So what Volkswagen and other car manufacturers do, they use the old packs and they put them in these kind of stations. You can call them booster actually, no? So the charging station is directly coupled with the battery. So during the day at the lower voltage, no, it's being charged, and when you then discharge, it doesn't take out the electricity directly from the distribution grid. It takes out the electricity of the battery first, no? So that's a typical use case all bigger electric car manufacturers are considering, no? Because they're being made in charge by the governments to take care of these batteries. So they don't even need to sell them, or what's discussed a lot is hospital backup and so on. They use them for, this is even a mobile station here, no? So they can put them wherever they want. A beautiful idea, no? So second use case is not that much an issue. And then there's third cases when it really becomes a permanent backup for a hospital. And then maybe the fourth case is then the recycling. And with batteries coming up, having cycles, I mean, we mentioned the cycles, no? Isn't it amazing? We are talking about 12,000, 15,000, 16,000 cycles. You calculate that in years. We are ending up with batteries which easily run 40 years. Yeah. So there are a lot of things that are going to happen in 40 years before you recycle this battery, no?
Okay. Thanks, Tobias, also explaining this. And we had a great webinar. So we had more than 600 registered participants and more than 300 participants joined this webinar. And if anyone have any queries, feel free to write to us. We'll be happy to answer you. And thanks to all the attendees. And thanks to Tobias, thanks to Gautam, Rahul for presenting. We will continue similar webinars and on-ground activities once the COVID situation will improve. Thanks Tobias and team, and Madhuri and Dibani for coordinating, and thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Peer milenge.